family of a Newton man donating his most prized possession. At just 13, he took his cello and fled Nazi Germany. His talents took him to Italy, Cuba, and eventually here in the Boston area as the Nazis rose to power. Now his family in Newton is donating that cello and dozens of other items to the Holocaust Museum down in Washington, D.C.
And they hope that by etching his name in history, his memory and the memory of Holocaust survivors will live on. Armed with a cello and his bow, 13-year-old Werner Ganz escaped Nazi Germany in 1936.
That became an appendage of him, and he played his whole life.
As Adolf Hitler was rising to power, Werner's parents sent him to Italy, where he could continue studying the cello. He later fled with his family to Cuba, where he continued to play music and then earned a scholarship that brought him to Boston. Decades later, Werner's family based in Newton has now donated the instrument, along with other valuable keepsakes, to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C.
We've now learned, since they've wanted to feature this story, that so few instruments were able to leave Nazi Germany.
The family also donating Werner's own compositions, including a piece he composed before leaving Havana alone to study at a conservatory in Boston. An inscription on the work reading, "Dedicated to my beloved parents before my departure for the USA."
It was definitely challenging, but his demeanor was always to be optimistic and to speak positively about overcoming all those challenges.
Werner's parents then joined him in Boston a year later. Just as he was about to graduate and make his solo debut with the Boston Pops, Werner was drafted into the Army. He became a Ritchie boy, one of the thousands of German Jewish refugees who interrogated prisoners of war and high-ranking German officers.
Werner, I think in a lot of ways, like a lot of refugees, he held on to everything, having lost so much. And the artifacts that he collected from his time as a Ritchie boy were really astounding once we identified them, including a soldier's handbook that he took from an officer that he was interrogating.
After his service, the Ganz family says music was always a part of Werner's life. He played with the Newton Symphony and the Civic Symphony of Boston.
So that's actually an official symphony picture that they created.
The Ganz family hopes by sharing Werner's story, his legacy and the stories of other survivors can live on. They want to shine a light on one of the darkest moments in history to ensure it's never repeated.
When you tell individual stories and you learn about what a life they had before the war, what a life they had after, what they went through, and it individualizes and it makes it more compelling and more powerful and very, very much more real.
It's very, very important that these stories be told so that no one can ever deny that the worst atrocity ever in the history of humankind occurred.
Right now, the museum is working to archive and restore the historic artifacts before they go on display.
I heard it's a very powerful museum to go to.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Up next from the night team, Kelly is standing by with a full check of that forecast, and we're in for a roller coaster, Kelly.
I was just going to say up and down, a very messy week ahead, unfortunately, but I have details on that next.
And winter weather slamming the Midwest, dropping several inches of snow, millions of people digging out and getting ready for more snow this week. We'll be right back.